Hello, beautiful people. Bonjour et bienvenue dans cet episode. So, welcome to the channel, and my name is Amzat Aminat. I'm here to talk about share my French journey based on request from the previous video that I posted a while ago. It's my PR story. Because French has been like the saving grace for a lot of people just like me, and people don't really lay emphasis on it, so I hope you find it useful. If you're new here and you haven't watched my PR story, please endeavor to do so, and also don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Yes, please do it now. Thank you. Well, this French matter is actually a very dicey one, because I've heard stories of those that learned French in 6 months or in 9 months, as the case might be, before writing their exam. So I'll try my possible best to just summarize what I did, how I did it, the materials and the resources that I used, and also how I prepared towards writing the exam. I know learning a new language, in this case French, isn't an easy one, and to those of you presently in this phase, je dire bon travail parce que ce n'est pas facile, mais petit à petit l'oiseau fait son nid. This simply means that I wish you well, and I know it's not easy. Little by little the bird makes its nest, just to say that a step after the other and you eventually accomplish your goal. I know most of us are learning the language just to help to stimulate our scores so that we can get ITA and then come over to Canada. After it was concluded that French was the last resort, so I got a tutor online. This was around COVID, July 2020. So I basically knew nothing in French. What I knew was just bonjour and the days of the week, which was purely or poorly pronounced. So we got to work. We met 3 times a week via Zoom for 1 hour. And then my classmates, they had basic knowledge of the language. So then I had to work twice as hard just to catch up and then make sure that in preparation towards accomplishment of my goal. So I downloaded the Duolingo app. I know you all know about it, like that's just like our starter pack. I used the free version, after which I made sure I conjugated or learned the verb daily. I also listened to podcasts because this would help to get the pronunciation right, the likes of Coffee Break French, because getting the pronunciation is very important. And I think the trick to this is when you learn your alphabet well, you know how they are pronounced, the voyelles, the consonants and their combination. So after 3 months I had to stop class. 1, because I was tired and I felt I wasn't comprehending anything at all. Secondly, because I was about to write my final exam for my master's program, so I had to just pause one so I don't eventually end up missing both. And thirdly, it was just overwhelming. I was tired, I was exhausted. I couldn't just move further, so I needed to just take a break. And I think one thing that contributed to it was because I was doing too many things at the same time. I was listening to this, listening to that, jumping from one website to another. It was basically because of the pressure. Like I was just going on and on about it, back to back. I was listening to different things at the same time, studying this, going from one website to another. I felt I was just being too hard on myself. Yes, that's the right word. I was just being too hard on myself, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one like that. I had to go through this. So after the break, I felt I would do better in a physical class. Then I had to start researching on which one I would settle for. We have the likes of Alliance Française at Ikoyi, we have IEF in Yaba, and then French Village at Badagry. So I actually just settled for French Village. I went all the way there. This is just my choice. It's not compulsory that you also follow suit. I'm just here to share, like I said. So one reason, or some of the reasons why I just decided to go for French Village is 1, the learning is not just based in the walls or the 4 walls of the classroom. We have outdoor activities like different sporting activities, debates, soiree, games, Even excursion, because Badagry is quite close to a neighboring country, Benin Republic, so they share border. So there's the opportunity to go for excursion. And secondly, because French Village is like a learning institute where students from the university come for their penultimate year. And so learning this language, you need people to relate with on a daily basis. After I went to the village, and I also tried to listen to French speakers every day, like listening to Le Journal en Français Facile on RFI was like a morning ritual for me. I also subscribed to some YouTube channels, the likes of Alexa, Français avec Pierre. See, it doesn't really matter if you don't understand a word or if you don't understand anything at the beginning, but just keep at it. Eventually, gradually, you'd eventually get the general idea, even if you don't understand like the words individually. Secondly, I changed my language, like the language device on my phone, to French. Also, when I try to watch French movies and things that interest me, with that I'll be able to pick one or two. And then I also, when I watch movies in English, I try to just translate in my head. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Then in addition, what else do I do? Yeah, I read articles online on sites like Le Parisien, Le Monde, Le Figaro. I think I really help with writing and also reading. I also like to add that you shouldn't put a limit to the number of hours you study daily. French is a language, it's not a course. So try as much as possible to immerse yourself in it. Visit websites, the likes of like Lawless French. Try to network and meet with people on social media, those of like minds that are also on this journey. And then your family members. For me, it was like a joint effort. My husband had to download Duolingo just to ginger the swagger, and then I had to speak the language to my daughter just to help to naturally flow with the rhythm. You get me? So that was the little things that I did, and I felt it really helped one way or the other. I also went through the phase whereby everything wasn't making sense. It was like I wasn't making headway, but like the saying, when you are at this point, it means that if you keep further, you definitely get a breakthrough. So, and you'll be surprised at actually what you know. So before rounding my program up at the village, I started preparing for my TEF exam. I joined some groups. There's one on Facebook, it's called Comment se préparer au TEF or TCF. Then there's one on Telegram, I think it's called French for Beginners, whereby people of like minds that are trying to also write the exam or study to write the exam schedule or fixed classes, mostly for speaking, because I guess that is where most of us have difficulty. You know, that time, you know, the feeling of the French you have in your head, like it's like you have a whole lot of French, but when it's time to open the mouth and converse, then it's just practically like zero. There's nothing there. So I head up from French Village, and then I had to start preparation for the exam proper. Like I said, it's not an institution where they teach French for TEF. They just teach French as a language. Now, preparation for the exam, I had to get a tutor for this, and we met 3 times in a week for an hour or more, as the case might be. I had to increase my study time. I had French, soaked in French, slept and even dreamt in French. So I had to do exercises on Prep Ma Future, La Langue Française on YouTube. For the listening part, there are different sections, one of which is just the one with the images, to choose the one that best suits the recording or the audio. The next is just like the tone of the audio, as well, maybe it's familiar, is amical and whatnot. So listening regularly to RFI or Le Monde really helped for this part. Then to the speaking, this is just basically your ability to share your opinion without hesitation, and you don't necessarily don't need to speak the big grammars or the big words. Just be able to communicate effectively, whereby the person you're talking to can understand what you're saying. So for this, give yourself daily targets, Like, for example, can I give an opinion in French? Can I express myself? Or can I call a store to place an order for an item? Call a restaurant? Record yourself saying it, and you'll be surprised at the level of improvement you would see. So for the reading, we have the long test. You just basically need to understand what you're reading and then the rules of grammar, and you'll be fine with that. Now to the writing. This actually works in line with reading. The more reading you do actually helps with writing, because that way you get to know how the sentences are structured, and you just like try one way or the other, you just implement it in when you're writing. So have someone to read your write-ups and give you feedback. That is very important. Secret is just to obey the rules of writing and you're good to go. So these are my useful tips or suggestions. One, attend a good school to help to give you a foundation. Then secondly, get a tutor or a guide or a friend that you can speak daily to. My people, because even if you have all the resources and all the materials, the major factor is you. Are you ready to put in all the work? So don't give up. For those that don't know any French, I recommend you to start with Sean's Outline of French Grammar. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I'll try and just write it somewhere here. Because they explain the rules of French explicitly, we also have books like Edito. And then I have with me here, this book came all the way to Canada from Nigeria. Yes, I have this Collins Easy Learning French. I also have the dictionary. I got the conversation book, because I definitely still intend to continue learning this language. I have gone through a lot for me not to just continue. So amount I spent on this journey, that is subject to lots of factors such as data. I started with online class, so I spent a lot on data. I went to Village, I paid the school fees. I started preparing for my TEF. I had to pay a tutor. In fact, there are lots and lots of things that are attached, which I cannot give a definite amount for that. And also knowing fully well that I started in 2020, the amount a tutor would charge you now would definitely be different. So I don't think I can give a definite price. And I wish you all the well in your journey. So until next time, I see you.